There we are, we're live. Good evening, gents. How are we?
Good.
Back again.
I was waiting for some sort of intro video. Sorry.
No intro this week. We'll just get straight to the bones of it. So, yeah.
I've been looking forward to this.
Absolutely. So we did one of these discussions a couple of weeks back now with regards to, the big topic of conversation at the time was the Federation, were they friend or foe? And we had a few different topics coming through from... I'd looked around some of our various social media streams and picked up a few questions. And I've done similar for this week, but I've only got sort of 2 or 3 questions that stood out to me based on the last episode. So the main aim of today, we'll have a look at those and we'll stick some of our predictions in for what we think is going to happen in the finale, because we threw about quite a few theories last time, some of them a little bit out there, others not quite so. And I believe, Dan, you almost got one spot on as to what you thought might have happened when it comes to the Emerald Chain and the Federation having a bit of a sit-down and negotiation. So good call on that one.
Should we proceed this week? If you haven't seen this week's, you may be talking about stuff you may have missed.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, okay then. You just want to see this again, don't you?
We need to redo that for Discovery ones, which says Condition Black or Black Alert.
Yeah, Black Alert. Yeah, we could do that one again. Yeah, we'll have to have a look at that one. So, Megan's joined us again. Hello, Megan.
Hi, Meg.
Nice to see you. And Alan's here with us again, as is Tim.
Alan. Timothy.
So, yeah, we'll dive straight in with one of the questions that I picked up from one of our media feeds. And it's quite a direct question with regards to this week's episode. So when Osyraa beamed in to Federation headquarters and posed just as you would expect from someone of her position, a very blunt question of where's your president? And Vance just quite blasé said, well, he's been authorized to negotiate in the president's absence. So this question was one that I picked up on, and it was a thought that I had as well. And that is, who is the president of the Federation? Why haven't we seen them? And do they even exist? And this is something we picked up on in the last Discovery chat that we did about what's happened with the Federation. We've not actually seen any sign of the Federation.
It does make you wonder if the president does exist. If he does exist, is he locked away in some cell somewhere? Is he, presumably, if there is still a president of the Federation, then he's got to be a high target. So he's got to be protected. So you can't ignore that might be why we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
But getting back to, I think I said last week, the actor, sorry, I can't remember his name now, that plays the head of the Starfleet at the moment.
Oded Ferrer.
Yeah, he's always played, especially in Resident Evil, characters that double cross, that are not what they seem to be. That's what he does. So I still think we're going to see something from him that's going to be a curveball, and possibly involving the president, possibly not. We'll see.
Possibly. I mean, I've throughout my review videos for this season, I've been very dubious about Admiral Vance. And if there's any sort of ulterior motive there, is he hiding something? But you know what? And I highlighted it in this week's review. I was actually really impressed with him and his moral compass and the way he stuck to his ground with, the armistice.
Just jump in there though, but weren't you given that impression of Lorca in season 1?
You were, but if there was going to be any sort of underhanded dealings, we as the viewer would be allowed to see that in that Federation headquarters ready room when it's just him and Osyraa chatting. He could have turned off Eli, that lie detector. He could have said, right, just shut down, and then frankly talked to Osyraa and been underhanded and double cross. But he didn't. He stuck to his moral ground. And I've got to admit, I was quite impressed with that. I wasn't expecting...
The lie detector was paying attention to Osyraa, not him.
True.
And he was very cagey about who the lie detector was based upon.
Yeah.
No, he said it was nondescript computer generated, didn't he?
No, Dan's right there. I can't remember the exact line, but there was something that she said. It's like, why is it watching me? Didn't she? It's watching me. And he was like, well, it's focusing on the person it's figuring out. That's why it's not looking at me. You're right there, Dan. There was a
I must have
line.
missed that bit.
Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch and see that bit. Yeah. So Tim says perhaps Vance's Starfleet is a splinter group, which is something we discussed last time.
Yeah.
You know, are there separate factions of the Federation and Starfleet? Megan, I don't think Vance is hiding anything. Initially, I thought he was, but now I'm not so sure. Yeah, I'm in the same camp.
Yeah,
Megan.
I got that impression as well. Initially, I thought when I saw the actor, I was like, oh, yeah, he's a double crossing SOB. But yeah, the more I've watched him, and the more I think when you get inflections from the way he makes command decisions, you kind of think, yeah, he's not putting them at risk. These are the most, the spore drive is the most important thing. I'll give you it does, but I'll wind you back to season 1 of Disco, and Lorca thought the same thing of him, didn't you? So they've done that very well before. So I'm not willing to be fooled again.
And you see, on this same topic as well, kind of changed my mind slightly about a theory that we discussed in the last chat that we did about this, where we were speaking about Admiral Tal, and we were wondering whether, say, Tal may be head of the Federation and Vance may be head of Starfleet, and them being separate factions, as has just been brought up in the comments there. But I'm actually wondering now if Tal was the president of the Federation, and the reason he was on Earth was to try and negotiate them coming back in.
Well, at the moment, he's dying. Oh, they are dying inside a nebula. So, that's a bit awkward.
Yeah, it is awkward. But again, it could be why Vance was so cagey around Adira when they first sort of like met at Starfleet headquarters. You know, if she's not got all the knowledge from the symbiont yet, and Senatal's uniform did seem much more grandiose than Vance's for someone who was technically, in theory, a lower rank. So could it be that Senatal was the president?
I've always assumed that the president of the Federation has been kept secret for a big reveal. So we're going to get something like, I don't know, like Worf, because we know Klingons live a long time. It's going to be. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be something like that. It's going to be like a big, unexpected. Oh, it's him, or like the face of Bo from Doctor Who or something.
Yeah,
I've always assumed that, but yeah, it could be. It could be more. What should we say? Sinister purpose. I
suppose the other possibility for a president of the Federation is another character we've seen so far in Discovery once or twice, which is Kovich. Few people have thrown that idea around. Is it Kovich, the guy who seems to be the apparent, maybe Section 31 of the future agent with the glasses? Could he somehow be the president of the Federation?
Well, if he is, then our whole idea of Starfleet and the Federation is completely, it's our worst fears, isn't it? If the Federation's been undermined that much.
I did say last time though, I think the last episode will be something along them lines, where Discovery makes a decision that puts them on the outside of maybe this new Emerald Chain Federation alliance, or not even alliance, merging. I think is probably a better word.
I don't think that's going to happen now, though, is it? I think the negotiations were good to a point, but the fact that Vance stuck to his morals and Osyraa wasn't willing to stand trial for the atrocities that she has already committed, she just kind of wanted an instant pardon, didn't she?
But was that? I mean, when you're talking about a serious plot development now and the trouble the Federation's in, the trouble Starfleet's in at the moment, is that actually valid, or was that actually him finding a way out for his own purposes?
Could have been.
I mean, things have changed a lot. You're going to have to, whether you like it or not, you have to give concessions in war. And in times of war, there's war criminals that are always going to be excused on one side and not on the other. And that the episode that was banned in the UK and in TNG was exemplary of that, and has been dealt with very well in the Star Trek universe before. So I'm not so sure on that one. I think perhaps that indicates him, Vance, deciding I'm going to use this as a get out here to not agree with you. I'm gonna this is all good. It sounds good, too good to be true, and we all want it. Yeah, but just for you, the need of the one is actually going to outweigh the need of the many. That doesn't sing true to me. That still makes me think that his character stinks somehow.
Or maybe if it is something along the lines of, say, for example, all right, maybe not Senatal, but if for some reason the president of the Federation is incapacitated, he's not going to want anyone to know about that, and he's kind of been thrown in at the deep end here, not just running Starfleet, but maybe having to take on the responsibility of the whole Federation. Maybe is that holding him back from doing stuff?
So he has possibly some forced responsibility.
Yeah,
that he has to, he's got no, whether it's right or wrong, he has to sort of, he's like, well, my dying wish is you make sure this doesn't happen, and he's fulfilling that sort of thing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, could it be something along those lines? Maybe, again, possibly.
Morally right, but,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's interesting. A couple of bits that could develop in that last episode there. Another thing just about the episode we've had, with regards to Stamets now obviously being blown off Discovery by Michael, and yet they obviously need to get back to the Veruban Nebula for this last episode, because they've got Saru, Culber, Sukal, and now Adira there as well.
Can I just, because this really confused me. So the episode before last, Discovery, Black Alert, taken over by the Orions, jump Starfleet headquarters. How did Booker's ship get there like that?
He went through one of the quantum slipstreams.
Now I've seen
in Voyager.
These could be remnants of Borg transport conduits from when.
Do you remember the episode in Voyager where they experimented?
Yeah, I do remember, but was it literally just like, because it felt very much like, oh, how are we going to get them? Well, we'll insert science here. Poof, we're there. Was that literally it? That was.
It was brought up at the beginning of the series about these quantum slipstreams, but it was also mentioned that anyone who travels them must be crazy, because, and I think it was a link to the Gorn having blown up.
I remember that line. Yeah. This is what's really
with all the debris in the subspace slipstream. So I think that was just kind of like a visual representation, so that we made that connection to say, well, that possibility is there, but this is why it's not used. I
don't want this turn this into a argument about hating Discovery or anything, but that was it just felt like a really lazy kind of, well, we've got to get them there. Bang, they're there.
Yeah, I think it was literally just put there to justify that remark at the start. Genuinely, I'd agree with you there. I think in a way it's lazy, and I think it was just put there so that we had some sort of representation to justify that comment in episode 1.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I mean...
Lazy writing, unfortunately, but yeah.
We've got Nelkos there saying that Vance is the president of what is left from the Federation.
Well, Nelkos, I think that's a very... So what's always separated Starfleet from the Federation is that Starfleet has been seen as a military arm, and the Federation has a democratic presidency. Through necessity, has actually the Federation become fascism? Is that actually what they're hiding? Is he hiding the fact that he's actually the president and he's actually ashamed of that fact? That's a very good point.
Tim thinks that for the next episode, we'll see a fleet from Navarre come to save Discovery and pave the way for the planet to rejoin the Federation.
Sorry, Navarre?
So what was Vulcan?
Who?
What was Vulcan?
Oh, the new Vulcan.
Yeah. Right. Which, to be fair, would be similar writing to the end of Discovery Season 2, wouldn't it? When the Kelpians suddenly showed up.
Yeah, that didn't make a lot. Yeah, but yeah, it'd be nice to see more of that planet. I'd really hope we do. Definitely.
Yeah. So another one that was brought up, like I say, obviously we've got to get back to the Veruban Nebula somehow quickly. Book's ship may have been able to get through those conduits, but with all the debris that was in there, I think Discovery would probably be a bit too big. It wouldn't make it. And Stamets is now off the ship, so how are they going to operate the spore drive to get there, especially with the chains still being very present on Discovery?
Well, you've got to remember they've got a lot more time than they think they have, because they've got she swallowed some meds to give them, and she took them herself before she went. So they've got more time.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll carry it over. I don't think they'll resolve that next episode. No, I don't think that'll be resolved. That'll be a cliffhanger for next.
So you think it's going to be a season cliffhanger ending?
Yeah, I think that'll be left hanging over. Yeah.
What was the last?
Yeah. And they used to do that in Trek a lot, didn't they? At the end of the day, it started off with Best of Both Worlds Part 1, and then everyone watching it at the time, poor buggers, had to wait 6 months to find out what happened.
I was about to say, what was the last season cliffhanger ending we've had in Trek?
Oh, it would have been. Voyagers was done as a dual episode when it was shown.
This is something we've not discussed in when we're talking about plot theories before in our one show we did before, and that's how differently it's written now, because the writers have a much harder job because they're not reactive. Writers would have a 2-week gap from an air date to writing the next episode. They don't have that now. They write a whole season off the cuff, so they can't judge how people feel about it. They can't react to how the public are reacting to their storytelling. So I think you get very different, I hesitate to say it, much more crowd-pleasing ones, because people are less scared to take risks. Mm-hmm. You look back to the best cliffhanger ever, the Best of Both Worlds, the writers and the actors didn't know if they were coming back. No. That's how much went into that.
That episode was originally written because Patrick Stewart was thought he might be going.
Yeah, they didn't know if he would be or not, so they wrote it that way. Yeah.
I've just done some quick looking while I've been talking. Last decent 2-part episode season finale was Voyager. It was end of season 6 into the beginning of season 7. It's Unimatrix Zero Part 1 and 2.
Endgame was a 2-parter too, and that was.
Endgame wasn't the end of a season, was it? It was the end of the show.
Well, it was the end of the final season, but yeah.
There was no wait 6 months for a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
To see where
no, there was no wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's. Yeah.
But let's be blunt now. You're not going to get that again.
You wouldn't have thought.
Reactive writing is done. They're not doing that anymore. You're not getting 6 months. People not finding out that the new Doctor Who, John Barrowman, had to rent a house and pretend he was doing it up so he could try and keep it a secret, and it still got out that he was going to come in.
Having said that, we don't get those sort of cliffhangers anymore. I know a show that we all watch. We were discussing before, not Trek related, but the writing style sort of thing. The cliffhanger ending, Cobra Kai season 2, that was a cliffhanger ending. You wanted season 3 to come out to see what was going to happen.
But cliffhanger ending for what? What, you wait and see if he gets out of hospital bed? Were you waiting to see if she was going to pick up the phone, or was it a combination of the two? What was it you're waiting for?
It was interesting, actually, you say about Cobra Kai. One of the things that ruins cliffhangers now is, for instance, Cobra Kai season 2 came out, and the advert for season 3, the teaser trailer for season 3 was out minutes later. It's like they are working already on the next season already. Like Richard said, so much in advance, and there's
no reactive writing anymore.
Yeah, there's no surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to. I'd love to get any writer on the show. I'd love to get any writer on the show to ask them how they feel as a professional writer. Now, you've got the situation where back in the 90s, you had reactive writing. Your episode would go out. You had a deadline. You had a story that you had to work to, that you knew you had to do, but you could actually see the reaction from the critics and from the public, and then write on from that. I mean, is it actually a plus? I mean, we should ask friend of the show, Tony Lee.
Yeah,
is it a plus, or is it actually taking away from it? Like, is it a benefit, or does it detract from what you're trying to do to tell your story? Personally, I think reactive writing gives a better result, because I think crowd pleasing is the aim of the game. But yeah. It would be interesting to hear a proper writer's view on that. I'd like to hear.
Yeah, it'd definitely be worth getting Tony
Yeah.
on to have a chat about. Maybe for we're looking at potentially doing a season wrap-up chat next week.
Yeah, you should ping him and ask him, because I'd love to hear his. Yeah, love to hear his thoughts on him.
So something that was pointed out, Tilly said in this episode she had a plan. Now that could just be in relation to retaking Discovery. Could be about how they get back to the Veruban Nebula. So could it be related to her theory of how to pilot the spore drive using dark matter interface that she had way back in episode 3, I think it was, of the series? So could it be that she's already figured out a way of not needing Stamets to pilot the spore drive? That would give them a whole lot more freedom, but it would also make it a damn sight more dangerous, considering you've got people like Osyraa wanting that spore drive.
The thing is, I don't think they. How do I put it? I don't think danger would really affect Tilly. She's gone from being this sweet and lovable ensign to, in the space of the last 3 weeks, being, I don't care if I blow the ship up if it means you don't get it. If someone dies, you leave them. You know, you sit here and shoot someone in the head if they come through that door. She's gone through that whole, almost, she's gone gung-ho and out the other side of this. You know, I don't think she'd hesitate to do something that was dangerous if she thought it for the right reason. So yeah, you're possibly right on that one.
You know, is she going to go, well, I had a theory about this. There's no time like the present. Let's just do it, see if it works.
I mean, has she learned from being killy, you know, to be a bit more assertive and a bit more...
Yep. Funnily enough, comment that's just come in. Tilly is going full killy. Obviously referring to her Mirror Universe counterpart there.
I have nothing positive to say about her, so...
Well, look, I'm not a fan of the story arc they've given the character.
Actually, I will say something, and that was that I had a dislike for the character and the actress for a long time until the start of this season. And I think it was the second episode. She actually delivered a really good performance. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, okay, fair enough. You know, you take a couple of seasons to get going. Yeah, but you've done... and since then, she's...
I mean, did you see that comment that's in the comment? We just selected Carl.
Which one? No. What about this guy Aurelio? I think that his name, the one in the wheelchair. Yep, yeah, that's Aurelio. Maybe he'll try using the spore drive and find he can use it like Stamets. Now, you see, the thing about this character Aurelio that's been introduced, it's... what's his name? Kenneth... I can't think of the guy's surname, unfortunately. He's been in throughout Discovery seasons 1 and 2, usually in makeup as a Klingon here and there. But the character, I've got a horrible feeling he's there just as a device. I think he's literally going to be there to help turn the tides against Osyraa during this battle for Discovery.
Well, how long have we had Discovery now in the new? Because the Discovery's not been there as long as Burnham, so they've been there for. Are we guessing about a year?
Yeah, it was a year, wasn't it?
So for another scientist who's not had access to any of the technology to figure out how it works and say they can make it work without him, that's going to be shit if that's what they go with. Yeah, that's just going to be.
I think he's there purely as a. I don't think we're going to see him for more than a couple of episodes. I think he might end up as a recurring character in. You know, we might see him once or twice in series 4.
Oh, I quite like the actor. He did a good job, and I quite like the character. But if they're gonna go with, we can now operate the spore drive without Stamets because we heard about it and we've been studying, that's going to be lazy even for Discovery. That's going to be lazy. That's going to be really bad.
Well, I think personally, one of my predictions there for the final episode and his character, in fact, is I think at some point while Tilly and the bridge crew are plotting around with the Doc 23s to retake Discovery, they're going to run into him, his character Aurelio, and they're going to think, oh my God, no, here's one of the bad guys. And he's going to be like, no, don't worry, I'm going to help you. Because Stamets planted the seed of doubt about Osyraa in his head, explaining all the stuff he thought she'd done that was good, But he was saying, no, this pesticide you're on about that, saved an entire planet. Well, she actually used that with very morally questionable things. She held that planet to ransom to give them.
So we're going to have bad guy come good.
I think so, yeah. I think because he doesn't realize the bad that the chain is doing. I think he's been just shown the good stuff, and he believes what he's doing is for good. And then suddenly at the end of this episode, he sees Osyraa blow Rin away, gone. And it's very, very subtle, but literally when she does that, he just turns and heads off the back door of the bridge.
I mean, if we can we joked earlier about the Orion girls and this not wearing bikinis anymore, but aren't they meant to control men with their pheromones? Why isn't she doing that with him?
Yeah,
have we just forgotten about that? I mean,
yeah, no, they're supposed to be using their feminine traits to control men
for mind control. Yeah, that's
been 1,000 years of evolution.
I was going to say, yeah, that's 1,000 years ago in this particular point in time, isn't it?
Oh, and women would gladly let that go, would they?
I would have thought so, yeah. Presumably she's wanting a lot more than that. I mean, you can kind of see from the way she's reacted to Vance and also the way that she basks in, again, this character Aurelio when he's in engineering explaining to, the galaxy is a better place for having you in it, Osyraa. Literally is the line that he says, and she's basking in that glory. She needs that sort of like acknowledgement.
I mean, I thought it was great in that Enterprise episode where they revealed it was the Orion women that really had the control, and they used pheromones basically for mind control. I thought that was quite clever. If they've decided they're not going to go with that, then, for want of a better phrase, insert shit science here and explain it then, because it's like, well, that's how she should be controlling the scientist in the wheelchair. That's
I don't like Megan's comment there. Is it an evolution thing? Can Osyraa now choose when they do that?
I think that they've always been able to choose who they affect with it. I think that was a thing. Yeah, they can choose who does it. Had nothing to do with the gold bikinis.
Interesting comment there off Lee Johnson, Carl.
Osyraa could be married to him. Stamets noticed he had an Orion partner. True. There are a few sort of like hints that might be the case. But yeah, that's one of my predictions going into the final episode is that his character will double cross Osyraa, having seen how brutal she can actually be. I think he'll sort of start to come to his senses and aid the crew of Discovery there.
He's kind of nail on the wall to do that, isn't he? Let's be honest. Or turn super. I'm actually the bad guy. I'm behind it all. You never saw it coming. It's gonna be one of the two. Yeah.
Now another thing that I'd wondered about as well, which was something I picked up on one of our channels, was at the start you've got obviously the Viridian chasing Discovery, and they're making this big show of it so that Discovery can get in through the Federation headquarters shields. And then the Viridian just sits there doing nothing while Osyraa's, negotiating with Vance. But then when that negotiation collapses and Osyraa returns to Discovery, she orders the Viridian to open fire on Federation headquarters. Now, seriously, that thing, like the comment that I picked up on, that thing's got to have some serious firepower to take on Federation headquarters. The way she asked for that to happen so confidently is that one ship can take down Federation and Starfleet headquarters on its own. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are on that one.
I don't know. I think personally that she wouldn't be, if she could take it down, she wouldn't be negotiating to join it. They've got some good defense mechanism going there where all the ships join in and create their own bubble, to keep intruders out. I do. Something's being hidden. No, what we're seeing, I don't think is Federation headquarters.
No, I don't. I think it's Starfleet,
I think she knows that as well. She may well have a ship that's capable of taking down what we've seen, but that's not headquarters. I think she
No.
must know that. Yeah.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see what we think is the Federation so far. Send out a distress signal, and the actual Federation show up.
And they'll have little worming things in the back of their necks. Yeah.
Megan's comment there. I've got a bad feeling someone on the planet isn't going to survive, or in the nebula.
There's been talk of this, and I'm not convinced. I think everyone on that planet's going to make it off.
All right. Let's put in round the room then. Richard, what do you think?
So you've got Saru, Culber, and Adira, and Sukal. So maybe
Sukal's going to buy it. Yeah, he's
Sukal is disposable. I don't think any of the main cast are going to die.
No, I don't think any of the main cast are going to die. And even if they do kill them off, they'll just bring them back to life because that's what we do on Discovery. So
I think Saru is going to realise what a weapon the young Kelpian could be in the instance that you could get him to cry and destroy a load more dilithium, cause another burn, and Saru will take the option to stay with him in the nebula.
they will not get rid of Saru.
No.
Doug Jones is the darling of this series. He's about the only thing that everyone can agree on they like.
People said that in the past about Star Trek characters, though.
Well, there's no one else really. I think that can. Don't get me wrong; it's stupid him being captain, but he's a wonderful actor and he's a wonderful character. I think they'd be absolutely committing serious suicide if they kill him off.
Yeah, I don't think Doug's going anywhere.
We shall see.
And I would say that Sukal's disposable, and there could be a big emotional.
Wilson Cruz is disposable. I mean, his character's good. Acting isn't brilliant. I think they would happy. They've already killed him off and brought him back once. I think they'd happily kill him off to get more out of Stamets, to get more out of his character. I think they'd sacrifice him to get some more stuff out of him.
I don't know, because I think the character of Culber, certainly at the start of this season, really started finding a place. Everyone always complained that Troy, for example, as counselor on TNG, didn't really do much. And Culber's kind of slid into that role through the first half of this season. And Discovery being what it is, I think that role's quite a pivotal one in the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not convinced they would get rid of him. And I think he's actually found a much stronger position as a character in that main cast compared to what he was in seasons 1 and 2. I think that character's really found its feet in this season. I
like him. I like his character. And I've got to be honest with you, I think he's a better actor than Sonique Martin Green. But for me, he's deadwood to what they're trying to achieve with the series. I think Stamets is the one that they absolutely more than anyone else can't lose. And I think he's the one they want to develop more than anyone else. So I think they'll kill him. I don't think they'll kill anyone off, but if they do kill someone off, I think it'll be him.
Do they, in fact, need to kill anyone off? Because obviously they've lost a main cast member with Michelle Yeoh splitting off, ready to do Section 31.
Well, it's Discovery. They'll just bring him back. It's like it. If someone dies in an episode, are you actually going to be bothered anymore when they just bring them back?
I have a theory, which is Tilly's going to go back to the nebula, and something's going to happen where she's going to have to evacuate Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a mass evacuation of Discovery, which will lead up to the episode, the episode Calypso, the short trek episode.
Short trek, yep.
And when the Sphere Data said it had been alone for 1,000 years, could it almost be talking about the 1,000 years, the 930 years Discovery jump forward, plus 60 or 70 years hidden in the...
Oh, we think Disco might do another jump forward.
Well, no, are we thinking that when Calypso, when the Sphere Data was saying it has been alone for 1,000 years, could it have been talking about 930 years in the initial jump and then 70 years floating around?
Well, no, I think you might be on something like that. I think maybe we'll have another jump. I think we'll have another jump forward.
I wouldn't be surprised if that the whole thing about the Calypso short trek, I think that will come seriously into play for not just a season finale, but an end of show finale for Discovery. That's my opinion, because a lot of people online were theorizing, because obviously Kurtzman said that Calypso was going to be linked to this season, and we've seen that with the AI that's emerging on Discovery from the Sphere Data, which is directly linked to the AI of Discovery that's in Calypso. But my personal thought is everyone seemed to, myself included, seemed to try and link it too directly to this Discovery in a nebula for 1,000 years in Calypso, trying to find a way to make that fit with season 3. I don't think it has to. I think kind of what you're saying there, Dan, about why is it have to, it's a very close tie-in, and I think they may have done it on purpose, that Discovery jumped 1,000 years into the future for this season. And in Calypso, Zora said, I've been without the crew for 1,000 years. So everyone's trying to go back and forth, linking that 1,000 years together. Why?
Could we end up with a time tunnel, let's try and fix it season, where we do actually get the big reveal at the end of this season and find out that the Federation's sinister and evil and everyone's bad. So Disco go back in time and try and fix it. Could we possibly be looking at that?
And the other thing as well is the Discovery we see in Calypso is the pre-refit Discovery.
Yeah, I mean, Meg's just put there, how many more seasons could they do with Discovery? I'm thinking more. So this was something I was going to try and allude to tonight, and that's Discovery's a bit of an anomaly at the moment, because we've got, to me personally, I think the best season of Discovery we had was the first one. And it's got worse since. That's never happened with a Star Trek season. You always get the first two to bed in, and then it gets better. And you've had Picard come along and be really good straight away. I mean, yeah, there was definitely some episodes that were filler. Don't get me wrong, but it was a great season. And we've talked before about, is there going to be a tie-in with Picard and Discovery and Control, and is that the AI intelligence? I think, in fact, I'm quite sure now that Discovery has been used as a bit of a testing ground. We're going to see what people, because you don't have, we spoke about earlier in the show, you don't have reactive writing. Mm-hmm. I do wonder if Discovery has been a testing ground for what people are going to warm to, what they're going to warm to, and that we've had Picard from that.
To an extent, yeah, because it was the first of this new generation of series coming out, wasn't it?
And it is very odd that that the first season of Disco, if people disagree with me, fair enough, but the first season was the best season. The second season didn't make a whole lot of sense. The season we're in now it's okay. It's definitely better than the second season, but it's not how we used to having Star Trek delivered to us, so it feels very much like it's a test bed.
I think in a way I'd agree. I think the first season was definitely the better season of the three.
Yeah.
But I think there's some individual episodes within this season that I would definitely rank as my favourites throughout Discovery. I think there's one or two that I would say out of all three seasons, there's one or two episodes in this season that I would rank in my top 5 out of all 3 seasons.
But it feels like very much we're on a bit of a Discovery is being used as a testing ground, which is fair enough. Like, as we said right at the start of the episode, it's very interesting to see that Cobra Kai has been delivered exclusively at launch on YouTube, and now only available on Netflix. That's it's very telling as to what the the way that showrunners and the way that distributors, the makers, and the way it got delivered to us, and with all kinds of terminology that I can't understand, but the way that shows are syndicated, it's changed, and they're looking for how are they going to get it out there, and maybe Discovery has been put out there as, well, let's see how this gets syndicated, and then we'll come in with our big hitter, which is Picard, and we'll, but saying that, what is Discovery, 8 million per episode?
It certainly was for the first season. Yeah, I'm not sure on the latest figures.
That's an expensive project.
It's an expensive test run, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I suppose the other thing to look at as well is, we're going back to a new age of Star Trek, a new golden, so to speak, age, where previously we'd had 3 series running back in the 90s. And we've got similar sort of thing now, lots of different series coming out, and not all of those series back then appealed to everyone all at the same time. DS9 was often back then Do
you think the budget has actually interfered with the quality?
The what, sorry?
Do you think the budget has interfered with the quality? Because, I mean, if you're looking at Discovery, when the first thing Discovery came out, it was 8 million per episode. And that was a record breaker at the time, I believe.
It was, yeah.
£8 million per episode compared to, I don't know what it was for DS9, but I know that the Next Generation were hovering around $100,000 to $200,000 per episode. Do you think before they had a budget like that, they had to write a better story? Now, we had a chat with filmmaker Gary O'Brien about this, about the best of both worlds being brilliant, and you never actually got to see
never saw that big battle, did you?
You never got to see what was the best bit about it. You never got to see what you wanted
to, did you? You didn't
need to, because it was written so well. The actors, it was written so well, and the actors delivered it so well. Do you think perhaps now they've got a budget of 8 million, although you wouldn't believe it from the special effects in this season's Discovery? Do you think the fact they've got a bigger budget has perhaps, it's going to sound very harsh, made the writers a bit lazier?
Well, potentially, do they look at that as in we'll compensate with the visuals for anything else that's lacking?
Yeah. As long as it's not George O stabbing Mira Vernon with a sword, because that was just embarrassing.
That was Star Trek 6 Klingon blood floating around territory. That was
at the time. That was brilliant, though. That was 40 years ago.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you say that Stamets ejection from the ship in the bubble was very much Esther to McCall. It reminded me of either Roger Rabbit or The Mask. It sort of just went boing.
It didn't look shit though.
No,
not a better word.
All right, the sound effect may not have been great, but
yeah, lots of other stuff about Discovery has just been this season. Has been like, oh my god, they cut your budget, didn't they?
Well, I tell you what, they didn't cut budget on, and that was Jeff Russo and his music. His music's been fantastic.
Yeah, music's always been good.
Absolutely outstanding. Yeah, and the way they've edited that in and timed it with the episodes and the action that's going on screen, especially first half of the season, was absolutely outstanding.
Let us not forget, and let us not be harsh because of this. This season has been produced, has been done in a worldwide pandemic when people are not working at home and do not work.
Yeah,
people are working from home and people are working at home. Yeah.
No, I'm not buying that one. Not being funny. No, you have some of the CGI effects. Nah, that's been a budget cut. Right. That's been perfectly good IT people who've gotten the arsehole about being paid less money and they've made it look shit. Sorry.
That's IT people have had to sit there and register 5,000 copies of Adobe.
Yeah, that's yeah. Sorry, some of the CGI this season, it has got better towards the end, but some of the CGI this season, I've watched it.
I've done some 3D work and setting up remote render not a
pay
fun thing.
me £1,000, I could do a better job than what you've done just then. It's been that bad. And the choreographing of the fight scenes I'll be more forgiving of because of the pandemic. But even those, I'm like, seriously, give me a wig. I will do a better job than whoever you've hired to do those stunts because they were awful. And they have been awful consistently.
I guess we're going to start seeing what happens 5 days.
Well, yeah, the final episode of this season comes along on, for us in the UK, Friday.
Well, as always, like it or hate it, this is better than having no Star Trek.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. This is, I love this more than having no Star Trek. So never, the fact, and please remember, the fact that we're not enjoying it, well, I'm not enjoying it, and you guys might be, but if you don't say how you feel about it, they're not going to fix it. So if you don't like it, tell everyone you don't like it. Don't feel bad about saying I don't like it just because it's Star Trek and I should like it. But whatever you do, don't ever say you don't like it and then not suggest how you think it could be better. Don't just say you hate it. Say why you hate it and say how you think it could be fixed and get the message out there for them to fix it.
Exactly, because that's exactly what Captain Pike said in season 2, is it not? I don't mind hearing about problems, but I want it to come with solutions.
Absolutely, yeah. If you don't like it, please tell everyone you don't like it. They have to know. Otherwise, we'll lose Star Trek forever.
The other one was, this is doing more than what it ever did when we were young. I mean, we're all the same sort of age. So when we were in school and DS9 and Voyager and TNG and all that sort of, it's giving you the option to talk about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. We didn't have this. The ability to do this was not around when DS9 was on. There was a Star Trek magazine once a month. There was not this.
Well, James, you're wrong. You're completely
sorry, James, you're wrong there.
Sorry, James.
You can be constructive even when you're not nice.
Otherwise, we're only ever going to be subjected to what the studio execs want us to watch. Mm-hmm. So you've got to get out there and say, but don't just say you don't like it. Saying you don't like it's not good enough. Say why you don't like it.
Yeah, and of course, and the thing is to be, there's so many people out there that have got their own viewpoint and they're not willing to listen to other people's opinions.
And most of them are wrong, and we're here to tell them why.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
You've got to be willing to that's the whole point of Trek as well. Listen to everyone else's opinions, take on board. I mean, I do these review videos each week, and there was a comment put on my latest one about a particular point regarding the atrocities that Osyraa committed in the past that I hadn't picked up on. And in hindsight, if I had, would have included it in my review video. And it was a great point. I totally acknowledged it in the comments. And I said that one of the reasons I love doing my review videos is so that I can learn from the things other people see on these episodes that I don't necessarily spot straight away.
You don't get criticised in the Star Trek community for having a different opinion, but you do get criticised for not being able to back it up.
Yeah.
And on that note...
Yes, on that note.
So we'll have a quick run around, seeing as we build this as a final episode's prediction video that we've only briefly touched on. Sorry about that, folks. So, Richard, what would your final predictions for episode 13 be? What do you think is going to happen in that final sort of like 45, 50-minute episode?
I've got to be honest with you. I think that we're going to get no main characters killed off. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to get something sinister revealed about the Federation we're not going to like. And I think we're going to see a complete lack of Orion slave girls in bikinis.
Fair enough. Dan, your predictions for the season finale.
Okay, so mine is as follows. I predict somehow Discovery gets to the nebula, be that through dark matter or through the guy in the wheelchair, one way or t'other. Osyraa follows. Osyraa loads up her ship with dilithium, and they destroy Osyraa and her ship by making the young Kelpian cry again.
Ooh. A small cry, just enough to be a localized effect.
Just enough to blow up her ship full of dilithium. She's just stolen off the planet.
Potentially.
Like sort of take away his copy of Razzle.
Boom. Ding, ding, ding. Discovery is damaged and they have to evacuate ship, leaving you with the Discovery in the thing. Discovery gets damaged. Osyraa's ship is destroyed. Tilly has to order an evacuation. Heartbreaking moments as one of the members of the crew is irradiated damage and won't be able to be saved because we're in the escape pod, but we won't know who till season 4. Close curtain. Short treks, season 4.
Okay, I'm going to go with we're going to find out that, and I still think there's something in this whole Admiral Tal thing. I'm sticking to that. I brought it up in the last chat that we did about Discovery. I brought it up this time. I think there's something more to Admiral Tal. Whether that's that he ends up being the president of the Federation, I don't know. But there's definitely something more to come from that character, I think. So I'm going to go with him being revealed as the president of the Federation. Adira will twig on to that at some point. I think with regards to Su'Kal, I love your idea there about him being able to be almost coerced into making that happen again to defeat Osyraa. I like that. Do like that a lot. But I don't think any of the main cast are going to die. I don't think we're saying goodbye to anyone in the season finale. But no, I do think we're going to get a cliffhanger. And I think that cliffhanger is that I think the cliffhanger is going to be the reveal about what's going on with the Federation. I think, we might. I love the comment earlier about the Navarre fleet coming in to save the day. I think that potentially could happen. And also maybe the Trill and Earth, because both of them were open to it during this season. So they may come back to help. And I think that's when we might see the start of the reformation of the UFP. That's what I'm going for.
Well, less than a week to find out.
Absolutely. So what have we got here from Megan? Megan's put a prediction. I predict we won't find out about everyone in the nebula. Tilly will make a radical decision that we won't expect. There will be a sinister reveal, and there will be a double cross from Aurelio. I like that. Yes. Yeah, we did bring that up earlier, Megan. Aurelio, I think, personally, will double cross Osyraa. And I think there were a lot of signs about that in the episode that we've just seen. James, sorry you couldn't join us this evening, James. It would have been fun, but Riker turns up and saves the day. One of Riker's descendants. We'll go
maybe with a ship full of artificial beings.
With 2 penises.
Oh, dear, Richard. So Megan says the cliffhanger is definitely coming. I'd agree with that one. I think it'd be nice to see a season cliffhanger because we know there's a Discovery season 4. It's all over the interweb. We know that's going to happen. So why not have a cliffhanger?
And let's all be honest. We all want a season 4 of Discovery.
Of course we do. Of course we do. Whether you love Discovery or hate it, like Richard said, it means that there's Trek on the screen and it gives us something to constructively discuss and something to look at.
And don't forget as well. Don't forget CBS when you are giving out those season 4 invites for press people.
Absolutely. Don't forget.
You'll be able to attend this year. That's the plan.
Don't be shy. We're a professional outfit.
Absolutely. Have you seen our production value? This is amazing.
I mean, we've gone from 4 to 3 people and carried on for an hour.
Hey, we peaked at 16. I'm impressed for only our second live chat on the Discovery front.
Anyway, I think it's home time.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure, gents. Thank you very much. I'm definitely looking forward to our chats next week about the season wrap-ups. Don't forget, guys, anyone watching, if you haven't done so already, do subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications so that you find out whenever we randomly go live, talking many strange, drunken things, as James has just put up.
And I'm calling it now, something to do in the finale will definitely be to do with those nasty Trill that we discovered. Trill makes some sort of comeback in the season finale.
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you very much for joining me this evening, gents. I shall no doubt speak to you during the week, and we will definitely be live next Sunday evening, 9 p.m. UK time, for our usual Let's Talk Trek show with all the packed fantastic features that we'll contribute to. And then potentially a season wrap-up chat afterwards. So lots to look forward to.
And until then, look after yourselves and each other.
Thanks, Jerry. Good night, guys.